I was just watching a video by a YouTuber named Katie Morton, who is I believe she's a licensed therapist. She might be a licensed psychologist. I'm not sure which one. But she talks about her practice on YouTube and gives advice. And I adore her because she is very compassionate and non-judgmental of every kind of mental health case you can imagine. And I was just watching her video that is titled, "What's the difference between suicidal thoughts and suicidal ideation?" And I clicked it because I thought that was interesting. Like, a lot of people I don't feel like can distinguish those, myself included. And so I started watching.
And the question is, Katie, what is the difference between suicidal ideation and suicidal thoughts?
And the part that I wanted to talk about is where she says, "And when do we know when we need to go to the doctor?" And I felt like that was important because there are a lot of people in Caitlin's situations who need to see a doctor, but they don't ever do it. They just resort to offing themselves. So let's see what Katie said.
And the last portion of this question, when do we know we need to go to the doctor? I actually did a video about it. I will link in the description. But if you feel like you've lost control and you feel like there's no hope, and you don't have any tools at your disposal, you don't have anyone you can reach out to, everything just feels really lost and we feel hopeless, please see someone. Please take yourself to the hospital, call your treatment team, get some help on your side.
And that's where I feel like the system really failed Caitlin, because she did precisely that. She went to the doctor, she went to multiple hospitals, and all they did was prescribe her medicine. A 12-year-old 12. It would be bad enough if she were like 19 and they just were throwing pills at her. But she's 12 and they're giving her pills. That was when Caitlin, as this therapist described it, felt lost and like she had no other outlet or anything. She went to seek medical help and they threw pills at her. Not only did they throw pills at her at 12 years old, but they threw pills at her that are known for enhancing suicidal tendencies in people. Prozac. I still cannot believe that. Every time there's been a new case every other day of young people killing themselves, I Google the word Prozac after or antidepressant, and bam, what do you know? It's too uncanny. I still need to do a video on that. I actually have a lot of clips saved from doctors and attorneys talking about all the evidence they have, and that really our insurance industry is just about, our insurance companies are just about, well, we all know it's just about money, but it's killing kids. It's causing people to kill themselves. For those of you who are feeling suicidal and you go to a doctor, a lot of you may get mad at me for saying this because I'm not a professional, and some of you say I'm a wannabe intellectual, which is so silly because, like, if you think I'm intellectual, accept that. Just because you think I talk ditzy or I bleach my hair or I come off insecure and I'm flaky and forgetful, accept that you can still be an intellect with all of those flaws. Just like a person doesn't have to necessarily be intellectual, but they may be articulate and they may be calm and collected. So anyway, what I'm about to say is unprofessional. It's just from patterns I've noticed. But if you feel suicidal, I think the best thing you can do is just get therapy without medicine. Make sure it is more than just once a week. If you need to stay at a friend's or surround yourself with people you know are not toxic. And if that's not an option, then call the police. If you know you're being abused, even if you're 12 years old and you're watching this, call the police and report it for yourself. Tell them that your family lies. Tell them that you have video of your family abusing you. The police will make a report of what you say, and your parents, if they really love you, they'll forgive you. Don't be scared of upsetting your parents or hurting them. If your parents will have unconditional love for you if they're doing their job as parents. Everybody makes mistakes. If your parents are going through a rough patch and you're at the receiving end of it, neglect, whatever, call the police. Call the police because your mental health is more important than appeasing your parents. Okay? Your parents will forgive you. Call the police. Don't take medicine. Medicine should only be for physical. This whole chemical imbalance thing was coined by psychiatrists for money. There's no such thing. You can rewire your brain by trying to think daily, and that takes practice and it takes help outside of pills. That's my advice. I've been there. I'm speaking from experience and I'm speaking from things I've witnessed. So Katie's absolutely right. Go to a doctor if you're having feelings of suicide, but no medication. And and where she left it at that, go to a doctor. But for like in Katie's case, it's go to a doctor, get given pills, and then go back home to the junkyard in the trailer with the abandonment and neglect, and then leave it up to CPS to check in every other week. And no, go to the doctor. Don't get medicine if they try to give it to you. If they're going to try to force you, which sometimes they actually try to force parents. They tried to force me to give my son pills. You can pretend that you're taking it if that's the case, and I don't care if I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. If you feel like it's making you feel worse and more anxious, don't take it, and then call the police. Hi, I am sleeping on mold and I don't have food to eat, and my mother is out selling pills, and they will take that seriously. And like I said, your mother will forgive you, or your father or your aunt or whomever you're staying with will forgive you. So I just felt like I needed to say this for any of you watching who feel like you need to leave the earth because of toxic people in your life. You don't need to leave the earth. They need to get out of your life, and you need something to help you along the way. Since nothing's instant, you need help, but pills are not the answer, and going back into the toxic environment is certainly not the answer. If I were rich, I swear I would open up a shelter for teens and preteens who have nowhere to go, and but they don't need to go to a homeless shelter with family members who are toxic, and they don't need to be surrounded by more. They don't need to be exposed to more filth in a shelter. And I'm speaking again from experience. There needs to be an outlet outside of just CPS and mental health hospitals. There needs to be a warm, loving, nurturing shelter type home, not foster care, okay? Not where people get paid to collect children. I'm talking about there needs to be a place. I'm thinking when I was Caitlin's age, there needs to be a place where you can just in a private setting call and say, hi, I can't wait for things to get better right now. I will end up killing myself if I don't find a way out of this. And because when you immediately send a child to a mental hospital when they have feelings of suicide, I feel like that puts a complex on a child, that the child has something wrong with them. When really, a lot of times, it's the toxic environment at home. And that's what needs to change, not the child popping pills. The environment, the people that the child is supposed to feel loved by need to change, not the child. And CPS is not instant. Therefore, there needs to be a home type, non-foster care environment where the child can regain confidence and go through therapy there. All right, I just needed to vent.